Hey, True Believers, England Teen here. If there is ever evidence that I just pick up number ones randomly, it is this. What in the heck is Aggretsuko? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to do a little review of it, as well as Black Cat, The Flash, and not shown here on the thumbnail, we're going to go look at Daredevil number 16. So with all that aside, and without further ado, let's get this party started. Alrighty, so we're going to do this thing where we look at the covers before we get to the reviews. It's a big old cat, other funny animals around it. Some are laughing, some... I have no freaking clue what's going on here, guys. It's Oni Press. That's the only thing I can actually identify and go, oh, okay, this is what about. Now, the cat's holding a microphone, so I assume this is a singing contest of some sorts, but everybody's laughing, so he's either singing bad or he's actually performing stand-up. I don't know. Let's go forward with the review here. The strange thing about issue number 1 is, and I was told, oh, it's a comedy book, or it's a comedy cartoon, something anime, I guess, I don't know. And the funny thing about this first issue is it's about an office worker, supposedly from Japan, and they're very sick. So I'm like, wow, this is a ballsy issue to put out in the current climate. I mean, granted, it's commenting on something overseas, but damn. A lot of people are dying of this scary little virus here, this bug that's a millionth our size, but it's kicking our asses. And that's exactly what this is. It's talking about how some people go to work sick and how they infect everybody, and how it'd be better if you get sick, you stay home and all that kind of stuff. I was actually surprised. This is supposed to be, it's not a funny book, by the way. There's nothing funny in it, to tell you the truth. They use the sick as zombies. So it's like, oh, you got a disease, and they come running in, and everybody's fighting, and the zombies come in and hug and touch and talk to, and everybody's running away as if they're going to die if they get in contact with them. And that's the kind of thing where I was like, damn, because you actually see people being beaten and drug out of their cars, and if they approach neighborhoods and they're strangers to the neighborhoods, people are beating them in real life as well. This has not been... nobody's pointed out this book and said, hey, this is what's going on. So we've been spared the false outrage that comes with announcements of things like this. All I know is, dude, while I didn't get a lot out of this personally, I think it's a really quick read. It's, you know, you read it, you forget about it almost as quickly. While I didn't feel any kind of emotional tie to it or any reason that I need to pick up another issue, I gotta say, I've got to give them props for doing this particular tale, especially in a comic that looks like it's aimed at kids. Next up, we have Black Cat number 9. Obviously, she's trapped behind the claws. You see Wolverine's silhouette in the background. So I guess his silhouette is popping real claws of some sorts while she's holding on to these adamantium things that could cut through anything. So she's probably losing fingers just by holding on to them. Yeah, not the best cover in the world. It's not a well thought of cover anyway. The image is striking, but not if you think about it. So here we have a story by Jed MacKay, drawn by Chris Zanka, and I think Chris is the winner on this one. The story, oh goodness. Okay, if I were to make a list of things wrong with Marvel Comics, I think one of the things that would have to be on that list is, see that smirk on Black Cat's face? I think all the writers are like that too. Hey, aren't I cool? Hello, fellow kids, or whatever that meme is. You know, the kind of people like, hey, all right, I'm a this and I'm a that, and aren't I cool? Like, we're expected to love it just because Black Cat is in it. It's her book, and therefore seeing her is an amazing thing. There's not much going on here. She goes to a bar, and people are talking about, oh, you know Patch, you know Patch, you know Patch, Patch. And it's like, okay, they're talking about Wolverine. We all get it. We remember the series. And overall, it's just, get on with it. Get on with it already. So she does go and she meets up with Wolverine, who, you know, what? You're Patch? Yeah, we knew that. We knew it like 15 pages before you figured it out. You slow story, you. The funny thing is, I remember somebody mentioned in one of my comments that every issue of this is a joy. This isn't a bad comic by any stretch of the imagination. It's just predictable. And that's one of the biggest problems. It's like I said, I get the feeling that all the Marvel writers are, no, not all is not a word to use. A lot of writers are, they tend to walk around, or they tend to write as if they are the coolest people in the world, and aren't these characters cool, blah, 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 and I'm going to do this and that. It's almost like they learn the worst parts of things that have come before. You know, hey, look, Superman's lifting a car. Isn't that awesome? I've never seen that before. Well, we've seen this before. Black Cat is not impressive. And Black Cat walks around like she's got a reputation that we should all think she's cool. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. The whole air of this book makes me feel like, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and in all honesty, I'm ready to go home. Nothing, there's nothing here I haven't seen before. In all honesty, I'm not wanting to see it again here. Flash number 85. So I went to the comic book shop and I realized I am very, very far behind on the Flash. So I think I'm going to have to skip a few, and I could have skipped this one. Not because it's bad, just because it's this story is pretty much over, and I could have waited a day for the new one. Anyway, I like the cover with the frozen wolves. I'm like, okay, so it's got something to do with Captain Cold. All right, I dig it. Bring it on. Oh, but it's more than, isn't this like the Commander Cold or somebody who popped up right before I stopped really reading comic books because I ran out of money? But, okay, so that's it. But wait, they're ruling the world now? What the hell happened? Well, that's a good question, and if you're asking anybody that's involved in this book, you're just barking up the wrong door there, buddy, because they are not going to give you the answers. This is written for the trade in the worst way. Now, granted, the story is kind of exciting, in all honesty. We've got, apparently, the Flash Force has gone crazy, and everybody who's a speedster is going way too fast, like even faster than they can handle, which I'm thinking, dude, you've run fast enough to break the freaking time barrier. I think you can handle it. And so it seems like it's one of these false challenges, because if he can run that fast, can he run this little, what looks like immediate? I don't know. It's a lesser. Anyway, point being is I think it's false. It's false tension built up. The stuff between Flash and the Golden Glider, and Flash and the other characters and the villains, the whole nine yards, the relationships are a hell of a lot better than the action in this particular series, in this particular issue anyway. I don't know if you would count that as a strength, a weakness, or whatever, but I think the dialogue and what's going on in the minds are a hell of a lot better than, oh my gosh, our Speed Force is out of control, what are we going to do? In the end, I got to tell you, I haven't read a Flash comic in a few months, so jumping onto this one, I was really looking forward to it, and unfortunately, my excitement was misplaced. I could have put it into any number of the books that were coming out. Unfortunately, not one of the ones that I've reviewed so far. So that's kind of sad. I guess Aggretsuko. Anyway, that's in the tie-up. So there you go, gang. Flash number 85, I think, is definitely a lot better if you're reading it from the beginning of the story, but if you hadn't, this is not the place to jump in, man. Find the beginning and at least read it from there. Daredevil number 16, the cover, Daredevil with his mask on. Didn't Elektra know who he was? All of a sudden she doesn't again? Is this because of All New Marvel All Now or whatever it was called? I don't know, but it's a decent cover, and it does tell us a little bit about what's going on the inside, so yay it. This art is horrible, by the way. Look at Foggy, especially in the second panel there. It's not good at all. I wish I had better things to say about this book, but unfortunately, yikes. I'm glad to see Zdarsky's name isn't on that anymore, because I was like, wait a second, this series was doing so wonderful, and now what the frickin' hell's going on? I said this with issue number 15, and I wanted to follow it for a little while, reviewing, all of the rest of the story here. This is god-awful. This is a bad story. I'm sorry, but I was like, wow, is this the fall of Daredevil? Look, there are highs and lows to every comic book run, right? We've seen highs with Batman, lows with Batman, highs with Daredevil, lows with Daredevil. It looks like we're hitting a low point again. And I mentioned this in the review. If you haven't seen it, I did a review of Daredevil number 15. It was with, I think, Cosmic Ghost Rider. But what I said, I'm going to say here. This is a writer who does not know the history of Daredevil. A long time ago, in order to, and I've got, you know what, I'm going to say this. I read an interview with Mark Waid, who I know is not a fan favorite anymore, but he used to talk about how when he would pick up a title, he would read a hell of a lot of back issues to get familiarized. Where are they? Where did they come from? What is the story? What's the story with the supporting characters? What are the relationships? The whole 9 yards. So when you jump in, you could tell who, especially if they've got an idea of who they're going to use in their story, you can tell who and how the character should react to. None of that is here, and it's very apparent. You can read this and realize that there was no research going into this at all. Before this guy picked up the book, he did zero research, and that, of course, I don't know 100%, but I got to tell you, I highly suspect it, because, man, Daredevil is the one book I would tell everybody, if you want to read Marvel, that's the one to go to. I can't do that anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, what a review video to do. Okay, so I gotta say, if I'm gonna pick a winner, it's gotta be The Flash, in all honesty, and that's only because my problems with it stem a lot because I hadn't read the previous issues. That's not their fault, that's mine. Then I would have to go Aggretsuko once again, because I don't understand the story. Black Cat, and then Daredevil, which, dude, if you ever told me that I was going to rate a Black Cat book above a Daredevil comic, I would have called you crazy. I would have looked at you if you were nuts and sent you on your way. That's my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, of course, you know the drill. Click like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell, making sure that all the notifications are on for Google and YouTube. And if you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi. Links in the description below. And also, hey, you know what? There's videos popping up around here, so why don't you check out one of those if you haven't already? You may like them as well. Thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.